Take a look at your daily routine. You might wake up to K-pop, grab a sushi bowl for lunch, and relax with a Spanish thriller on Netflix in the evening. It feels like a vibrant tapestry of influences, all thanks to how interconnected our world has become. But underneath this colorful mix lies a deep, primal anxiety. It is the fear of the gray world. Critics often call this the McWorld effect. It is the idea that globalization is steamrolling unique identities into a single, bland block. Walk from Tokyo to Buenos Aires, and you will see the same logos, the same sneakers, and the same coffee shops on every corner. It feels like we are trading our rich, distinct heritage for a generic, standardized reality where the most powerful economic forces dictate the norm. This brings us to a classic debate. Do we want a melting pot or a mosaic? The melting pot theory suggests we should all blend together into one. In this model, immigrants are expected to assimilate, learn the local language, and merge into the mainstream. Proponents argue this reduces conflict, pointing out that while you can compromise on economics, it is much harder to compromise on identity. But there is a counter-argument. That is the salad bowl, or mosaic model. Here, distinct cultures sit side by side. They coexist without melting away. The fear is that the melting pot demands you erase a part of yourself to fit in. It forces us to ask how far a person should go to fit into the broader culture, and how much the host culture should adapt in return. The tension is real. On one side, we crave the cooperation and unity of a global community. On the other, we are terrified of losing the traditions that make us who we are. So, how do we build a global bridge without burning down our unique cultural houses? That is the paradox we have to solve. When we talk about building a global community, a lot of people get nervous. It sounds like we are asking you to stop loving your country. It feels like you have to choose between being, say, proud of your heritage, or being a citizen of the world. But that is actually a false choice. It is what psychologists call a zero-sum game, the idea that for one side to win, the other has to lose. The good news is, the human mind does not actually work that way. Back in the 1970s, a social psychologist named Henry Tajfel discovered something fascinating about how we see ourselves. He found that a huge part of our ego comes from our group memberships. We define who we are by who we belong to. Tajfel ran these famous experiments, known as the minimal group studies. He found that even when he divided people into completely random and meaningless groups, they instantly started treating their own group better than the other. We are hardwired to seek a team and us, to distinguish from them. For a long time, we thought this meant we could only be loyal to one thing at a time. But we are evolving past that. We are discovering the concept of nested identity. Imagine a set of those wooden nesting dolls. The smallest doll is your local community, your family, your specific culture. That is your core. Now, put that doll inside a larger one, your nation. Does the small doll disappear? No, it is held safely. Now, place that within an even larger doll, the global community. This is the psychological shift we need to make. You do not have to trade your specific identity for a generic global label. You can be a proud member of your town and your country and the human species all at once. Being a global citizen is not about replacing your culture. It is simply the umbrella that protects it. It allows you to love your neighbor, not because they are the same as you, but because they are playing for the same home team, just wearing a different jersey. Building a true global community takes more than just language skills. We have to become cultural translators. This is the art of deep empathy. But before we dive in, we need to talk about a very important distinction. We need to understand the difference between appreciating a culture and appropriating it. Appreciation is beautiful. It happens when you seek to understand and learn from others. You want to broaden your perspective. You want to connect cross-culturally. Appropriation, on the other hand, is different. It is simply taking. It is like cherry-picking a specific element of a culture because it looks trendy, while ignoring the people who created it. Think of it this way. Imagine wearing a sacred garment just as a costume, or taking a photo of a private ritual just to get likes on social media. When we do this, we strip away the meaning. We turn deep traditions into mere fashion statements. This can cause real harm. It can be a source of pain for the community that holds those traditions dear. So how do we avoid this trap? It starts with self-reflection. Look at your own culture and heritage. Think about the things that make you who you are. Is there a symbol or tradition you hold sacred? Now ask yourself, how would you feel if a stranger used that symbol as a joke or as a prop without understanding its meaning? If you would feel hurt by that, you have found your compass. That feeling helps you navigate. We do not want you to hide from the world. We want you to be a cultural ambassador. Hold your own identity firmly. Stand tall in your own history. Then step out with respect. Learn the why behind the tradition. When you understand the context, you stop taking and start connecting. That is the art of building a world where we are distinct but deeply connected. So how do we actually build a global community without everyone becoming exactly the same? The answer lies in a strategy that sounds like business jargon, but is actually quite profound. We call it the global strategy. The term itself is a blend of globalization and localization, and it offers a way to solve universal problems while celebrating local identity. Think of it this way. Imagine a massive global brand like McDonald's. If they ran their business exactly the same way in every country, they would fail. In India, where many people do not eat beef for cultural reasons, a Big Mac makes no sense. Instead, they adapt. They offer vegetarian options or meals that fit local customs. They keep the global brand identity, but they change the recipe to fit the local taste. Sociologist Roland Robertson pointed out that this isn't just about selling products. It is about the simultaneity of universalizing and particularizing tendencies. That is a fancy way of saying we can have shared global goals without losing our unique local traditions. This concept challenges the fear that globalization is turning the world into one boring, identical culture. Instead, it creates a rich blend of the global and the specific. When we look at the huge challenges facing our world today, like climate change, artificial intelligence, or human rights, the global approach is vital. We cannot expect a single solution imposed from the top down to work in every village and city. A water filtration system that works in the Arctic might fail in the tropics. The global strategy says that the standard must be universal. Everyone deserves clean water or safety, but the method of getting there should be local. We trust communities to take these global scientific standards and adapt them to their own cultural reality. It allows us to stand together as one world while fully respecting the unique identity of every single person in it. So, how do we build a world community when we do not share the same culture or history? It seems impossible, but the answer might be right in front of us, or rather, all around us. It is found in the things we must share to survive. We call these the global commons. These are the parts of our world that sit completely outside the borders of any one nation. No single government owns the deep ocean, the atmosphere, or the vast silence of outer space. Even the internet acts as a digital commons, a shared space for information that belongs to everyone. Historically, a commons was just a patch of land where a village could graze their livestock. Today, the stakes are much higher. We are talking about the life support systems of the entire planet. This brings us to a scientific concept known as planetary boundaries. Imagine the Earth is a safe operating space. For thousands of years, nature kept us within this zone. It was a stable time called the Holocene. But our industrial activity is pushing us out of that safe zone. We are crossing lines into dangerous territory where nature cannot self-regulate. And this is where the magic happens. Because these resources are shared, the danger is shared too. The air pollution in one hemisphere eventually circles the globe. The warming ocean affects every coast. This shared vulnerability creates a new kind of bond. It moves us past cultural differences and forces us into a planetary identity. We are no longer just citizens of specific countries. We are trustees of the atmosphere and guardians of the sea. When your survival depends on the same resources as your neighbor, you have a very good reason to work together. We are bound not by a common language, but by a common fate. We have explored the philosophy, but what does this actually look like in your daily life? It is time to move from theory to practice. We are not trying to become rootless citizens of nowhere. Instead, we want to become what we might call cosmopolitan locals. This transformation happens through 3 specific habits you can start practicing today. First comes rooting. This might sound surprising, but you cannot truly engage with the world if you are adrift. To be a global citizen, you must first be a local one. Invest time in your own culture and history. Understand the specific story of the place you call home. Being deeply rooted gives you the stability to reach outward without losing your own identity. It turns out that having strong roots is the best foundation for growing wide branches. Second is branching. Once you are secure in your own soil, you need to look outward with intent. This means consuming media from other nations, but doing so actively. Do not just scroll past the international news. Pick up a book or watch a film from a culture you know nothing about. Challenge your own perspective. This is what scholars call ordinary cosmopolitanism. It is the practice of encountering the world right in your living room. Third, we have interlocking. This is where you bridge the gap between the local and the global. Look for worldwide causes that matter to you and apply your specific local skills to them. If you are a designer, offer your skills to a global nonprofit. If you are a teacher, connect your students to classrooms in other countries. You are taking your piece of the puzzle and locking it into the bigger picture. Ultimately, a global world community is not a melting pot where everything becomes the same. Think of it instead as a mosaic. A mosaic is only beautiful because each individual piece remains distinct and sharp. The strength of the whole depends entirely on the integrity of each piece. So stay distinct, stay rooted, and connect with the world.